Which one of the following is also called rat race? A. E-plane T. B. H-plane T. C. Magic T. D. Hybrid ring. The correct answer is hybrid ring. Radar principle is used in A. Detection of aircraft. B. Burglar alarms. C. Garage door openers. D. All of the above. The correct answer is all of the above. In an optional fiber, the refractive index of cladding material should be A. Nearly 1. B. Very low. C. Less than that of core. D. More than that of core. The correct answer is less than that of core. In microwave circuits, a mode transducer is used to A. Change mode of wave transmission. B. Change direction of wave transmission. C. Change polarization of wave transmission. D. Change mode direction or polarization wave transmission. The correct answer is change mode direction or polarization wave transmission. A waveguide connected to a circularly polarized antenna must be able to efficiently propagate both vertically and horizontally polarized waves. A. True. B. False. C. D. The correct answer is true. Which of the following is not used as a microwave mixer or detector? A. Pin diode. B. Crystal diode. C. Schottky barrier diode. D. Backward diode. The correct answer is pin diode. Integrated Fein line can be utilized as a medium for constructing millimeter wave circuits. A. True. B. False. C. D. The correct answer is true. The secondary constants of a line are A. Z0, B. Z0 and C. Z0 and wave velocity. D. Z0 and L. The correct answer is Z0 and. In a lossless line, the propagation constant is equal to A. JLC, B. LC, C. JLC, D. LC. The correct answer is JLC. A rectangular waveguide has two stubs each of length connected at the source end. The stubs are circuited. Then the stubs present A. An infinite impedance in shunt with line. B. An infinite impedance in series with line. C. A zero impedance in shunt with line. D. A finite impedance in shunt with line. The correct answer is an infinite impedance in shunt with line. Slotted line can be used for measurement of high frequencies. A. True. B. False. C. D. The correct answer is true. In a waveguide, the dielectric region is generally A. Air, B. Magnetic material, C. Brass, D. Mica. The correct answer is air. In directional coupler of the given figure, the terms S14 and S23 of scattering matrix are nearly A1 each, B 0.5 each, C 0.1 each, D 1 and 0.5 respectively. The correct answer is 1 each. A line is excited by a 100 V 200 ohm source and is terminated by 100 resistance. If the voltage on line reaches steady value in 80 ns, the natural resonant frequency is A 100 MHz, B 50 MHz, C 12.5 MHz, D 6.25 MHz. The correct answer is 12.5 MHz. A line of length slightly longer than an open circuited at far end behaves as A. Inductance L, B. Capacitance C, C L and C in series, D L and C in parallel. The correct answer is inductance L. The most commonly used magnetron is A. Cylindrical, B. Parallel plate, C. Inclined plate, D. Flat plate. The correct answer is cylindrical. The effect of Earth's magnetic field on radiowaves is minimum when a. The electric field lines of radio waves and flux line of Earth's magnetic field are in the same direction. B. The electric field lines of radio waves and flux lines of Earth's magnetic field are at right angles. C. The electric field lines of radio waves and flux lines of Earth's magnetic field oppose each other. D. Both B and C. The correct answer is the electric field lines of radio waves and flux line of Earth's magnetic field are in the same direction. A line of characteristic impedance Z0 branches into two lines each with characteristic impedance Z0. The refracted voltage is A0, B infinite, C equal to incident voltage, D 2/3 of incident voltage. The correct answer is 2/3 of incident voltage. The resistance values of a pin diode under positive bias and negative bias respectively are about A few ohms and a kilo ohms, B about 100 ohms and 1000 ohms, C about 0.1 ohm and 100 ohms, D about 1000 ohms and 10,000 ohms. The correct answer is a few ohms and a kilo ohms. A pin diode can be used A as a shunt-mounted switch, B as a series-mounted switch, C both as series or shunt-mounted switch, D none of the above. The correct answer is both as series or shunt-mounted switch. What is the numerical aperture in optical fiber when critical angle is 30? A 0.5, B 0.704, C 0.866, D 0.2. The correct answer is 0.5. A line of length slightly less than and short-circuited at far end behaves as A inductance L, B capacitance C, C L and C in series, D L and C in parallel. The correct answer is inductance L. In TE10 mode of rectangular waveguide, A there is one half sine wave variation along x direction and one along y direction. B there is one half sine wave variation along y direction and one along x direction. C there is one full sine wave variation along x direction and one along y direction. D none of the above. The correct answer is there is one half sine wave variation along x direction and one along y direction. Reflection from the object to be measured is significant only when the wavelength is A much bigger than the size of object, B much smaller than the size of object, C almost of the size of object, D either A or C. The correct answer is much smaller than the size of object. The speed at which axial electric field due to signal advances in ATWT is equal to A speed of light, B speed of light helix pitch helix circumference, C speed of light helix circumference helix pitch, D speed of light helix pitch helix circumference. The correct answer is speed of light helix pitch helix circumference. To ensure that only dominant TE10 mode propagates in a rectangular waveguide, the operating frequency A must be more than cutoff frequency of TE10 mode, B must be less than cutoff frequency of TE20 mode, C must be more than cutoff frequency of TE10 mode and less than cutoff frequency of TE20 mode, D must be less than cutoff frequency of TE10 mode. The correct answer is must be more than cutoff frequency of TE10 mode and less than cutoff frequency of TE20 mode. In a microwave power measurement using bolometer, the principle of working is variation of A inductance with absorption of power, B resistance with absorption of power, C capacitance with absorption of power, D cavity dimension with heat generated by power. The correct answer is resistance with absorption of power. Z0 Z of ZSC 0.5. A true. B false. C. D. The correct answer is true. A microwave junction is matched at all ports if the S matrix A has all diagonal elements 0. B has all diagonal elements equal but not 0. C has all diagonal elements complex. D is Hermitian. The correct answer is has all diagonal elements 0. TE01 mode of propagation of electromagnetic energy. A is merely the TE10 mode rotated 90. B is merely the TE10 mode rotated 180. C is the same as TE10 mode. D either B or C. The correct answer is merely the TE10 mode rotated 90. Fibers have numerical aperture Na in the range of 0.15 to 0.4. Fibers with higher Na value would have A. Reduced losses. B. High bandwidth. C. Reduced losses and low bandwidth. D. More losses and low bandwidth. The correct answer is more losses and low bandwidth. The following components are used to measure power output of a 2 kW TWT amplifier. A. 14235. B. 13425. C. 12435. D. 14325. The correct answer is 13425. Which part of radio spectrum is more crowded? A. Lower frequency part. B. Higher frequency part. C. Both A and B. D. None of these. The correct answer is none of these. As compared to their values in free space, A. Velocity of electric wave in dielectric is smaller but wavelength of electric wave is more. B. Both velocity and wavelength of electric wave in dielectric are higher. C. Both velocity and wavelength of electric wave in dielectric are smaller. D. Wavelength of electric wave is less but velocity is more in dielectric. The correct answer is both velocity and wavelength of electric wave in dielectric are smaller. Characteristic impedance of a coaxial cable is inversely proportional to R. A. True. B. False. C. D. The correct answer is true. A rectangular waveguide has a discontinuity in the form of reduced narrow dimension. In the equivalent circuit, this discontinuity can be represented by A. Shunt capacitance at the discontinuity. B. Shunt inductance at the discontinuity. C. Shunt resistance at the discontinuity. D. None of the above. The correct answer is shunt capacitance at the discontinuity. Depth of penetration does not depend on frequency. A. True. B. False. C. D. The correct answer is false. For a 1 cm x 2 cm air-filled rectangular waveguide, the maximum frequency should be less than about A. 1000 MHz. B. 5000 MHz. C. 14,000 MHz. D. 1,40,000 MHz. The correct answer is 14,000 MHz. Hollow waveguides are used as transmission lines at frequencies A. above 1 GHz. B. above 5 GHz. C. above 10 MHz. D. above 1 MHz. The correct answer is above 5 GHz. The total power radiated from an antenna system is determined by imagining that the antenna is at the center of a very large A. sphere. B. rectangle. C. square. D. ellipse. The correct answer is sphere. The AM, PM and TV broadcast frequencies are A. of the same order as microwave range. B. much lower than microwave range. C. much higher than microwave range. D. either A or C. The correct answer is much lower than microwave range. In TE mode of waveguide EZ0. A true. B false. C. D. The correct answer is true. The primary constants of a transmission line are A, R, and L, B, R, L, and C, C, R, and C, D, R, L, G, and C. The correct answer is R, L, G, and C.